in a world awash in uncertainty.
That makes me
Are you
so
triggered?
I am very triggered.
I almost said Bryan Adams.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Bryan
You can thank
Adams.
Bryan Adams, too.
Straight
I
from
get
the
it.
heart.
And we're gonna take it to the McMahons.
But Sinbad apparently never made a Shazam movie.
What?
Uranus.
I just couldn't notice.
Two brave heroes take on all things action.
Hi guys, welcome to another great edition of All Things Action Videocast. I'm Dad, otherwise known as Aaron. With me this week,
Layden, aka the Bear,
And Samaya.
aka the Mouse.
it only gets better from here, folks. So, guys, another great week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got old lady Samaya in the building. You're wearing your shawl today?
It's a blanket because I'm cold.
Oh, you're cold. All right. I'm burning up. I've got sweat dripping off my head right now, so...
I know.
Ew, that's gross.
Yeah, I know.
It was because you were outside.
Yeah. Mowing all morning long.
A
Yeah.
good 3
Yeah.
hours ago.
Yeah. Well, guys, again, welcome to All Things Action Videocast. If you're new to the program, we're in Season 2 now, well into Season 2. And this is I guess you'd call it a family show now.
Yeah.
Now that we've got Samaya kind of on board, we might have to change our intro to 3 brave heroes or something, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to
We
see.
need to do that because,
I'm still a guest right now.
No,
yeah.
you're still a guest right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
we're
if,
working on how to
If this is your very first show, welcome to the show. Returning people who actually watch this show, which I'm pretty sure it's 1 or 2 people maybe. Welcome back, and thank you for continuing to watch, regardless of whether we get 1 viewer or 100,000 viewers. We'll keep doing this just because
Probably.
it's a good way for us to kind of connect as a family and kind of talk about things that are going on, right?
Yep.
So let's get started with the very first one. Guys, we'll only touch on a couple of things today, but the first thing to talk about is last week, I believe, or maybe it's been 2 weeks now. It's kind of flown under the radar, but the International Space Station, way up there in the sky, way up above us. We don't even know where it's at sometimes, but it's up there, and it's always been up there for at least you guys' lifetime. It had a hole in it. Kind of
Wow.
freaky, right?
Yeah.
So we've come to find out that it was a very small hole, a 2mm hole, not very big at all. It sounds like it affected the cabin pressure, but it was
What's that mean?
the cabin pressure is like the pressure in the
Cabin?
in the actual capsule, okay? But it was so small and so minute that it didn't have any effect on the safety of the crew. So thank goodness for that. Sounds like it was so small they were able to put like a command strip over the top of it and just call it good. But this is something we're going to have to really pay attention to as we start to get into space travel.
Yeah.
Is very small things could turn into very big problems. And I guess, what do you guys kind of, when you hear about a hole in the International Space Station, what's your thoughts?
Well, we could talk about how, like, why it could happen, but I think we should save that for another video.
Okay.
So I think that this was a very small hole, but I think it could have been a bigger problem eventually.
Sure. Samaya, what's your thoughts?
I think that it's just kind of crazy that there is a hole in, like, a pretty big thing. Like, even though it's super small, it's still kind of crazy that can happen.
Wait, is the International Space Station made out of metal?
Yeah. It's made out of metals. It's made out of polymers. It's made out of
What's polymers?
plastics.
Oh,
It's made out of
is that
aluminum.
like a hard
It's
plastic?
made, yeah, a hard plastic. Yeah, in certain places. it's made out of a lot of things, and that's kind of a thing too. Is it's heavy duty, but it's still something that is vulnerable. It's not like it's some sort of big impervious vehicle.
Like Captain America shield.
Sure. Yeah, it's not made of adamantium and vibranium and all that stuff, right? So I guess the follow-up question would be, do you feel like the scientists that are on the International Space Station are prepared if something were to strike the
bigger?
ISS that was bigger and pop a hole big enough or punch a hole big enough to really rupture the cabin?
No.
Maybe.
Does that frighten you guys that there's people up there who, are kind of vulnerable to something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully small things just stay small and it's not a precursor to having to deal with something bigger, right?
What's
Yeah.
precursor?
Before. Okay? Prequel? Before?
Prequel to this season was season 1.
Yeah. Yeah, prequel to this season was season 1. You're absolutely correct. That's right. So, moving on, we'll just completely go to a different area here. But I wanted to get your thoughts, Samaya. First of all, good news is anybody who grew up in the 1980s, 1990s will probably remember a very popular book series that was called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. One thing that set this book apart from the other horror books, kids' horror books, was the visuals that were in the book. The author, the artist name, I can't remember right now, but I was always so horrified by the way that the actual illustrations looked in the movie or in the book that it always creeped me out. The actual book itself really isn't all that scary.
Yeah,
But when you're reading something, you look over at whatever's on the next page, the visual, that's when it gets creepy, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, right now, since I've read, like, it so many times, like, the pictures and the story, it's kind of cool to see how they, like, match up, but it's not as scary as when I, like, first read it, because, like, there's a spider story in it, and you look over at the next page, and it shows, like, all these tiny spiders crawling out of, like, whatever it was, and you just, like, read back at it, and it's a scary thing.
Yeah, so Samaya's read all the books. I kind of passed them down to her, and I'm sure Raiden will read them once he's not terrified of that
Not
stuff,
a scaredy
right?
cat.
No.
You're kind of the scaredy cat of the family, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't like anything that has horror in it.
Yeah. Yeah,
It just freaks
eventually
me
you will.
out.
Yeah, when
Eventually
I
you
was
will.
10, I watched a like pretty scary horror movie. And
You
you're over
watch
here-
The Purge and you don't.
Yeah, The Purge doesn't freak me out at all.
Yeah.
I don't
so
flinch.
Samaya's 13, and so she always looks forward to the movies that are PG-13 that she can watch, and a lot of them are PG-13.
You two watch The Purge TV show and you guys don't even, like, want to
it
throw
all.
up.
Yeah, the Purge TV show on USA. It's
Yeah.
a 10-part mini-series. I recommend it. The first episode was pretty good, actually. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back
Yeah.
on topic here.
On this.
So, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the book is being made into a movie. Guys, are you excited about that?
Yes.
So
A little bit.
production on that is starting to get underway. I don't know if it's changed at all, but the first time that I read about that was years ago, and they said that they wanted to make the artwork in the books come alive on the screen.
That'd be cool.
Now that was, I mean, they've had this thing in production for 10 years, I bet.
Oh.
But it's actually starting to come to fruition, so that's an exciting thing. You can talk about making a movie for years and years and years, but until it's actually put into production, that's when it becomes a real thing. So they are going to start production on that, and it should be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I guess the good segue for that is, Samaya, there are a slew of movies that are coming out that are horror movies, but I want your thoughts on something.
Okay.
Because it's September now.
Yeah.
It's the middle of September, right?
Yeah.
So we still have a month and a half until Halloween, right? Mm-hmm. There are already a handful of horror movies coming out in September. Do you feel like, as a 13-year-old kid, it's better to have horror movies leading up to Halloween or have them all in the month of October?
Well, I think since there's a lot coming out in September that are horror movies, if you watch, like, a few of them, if they're, like, let's say 10, and you're able to watch, like, 4 in the whole month, then the next month in October you can watch the other 6. So I think instead of having them all in October, in the month of, like, Halloween, basically, it would be better to have them lead up. That way you can watch those ones, and then they'll probably have more in October too. That way it's not just like 20 horror movies in October.
So you don't mind having a horror movie
In September.
in September or August, or
I
mean
wouldn't
some
mind
of them are
having
in
a-
February, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I wouldn't mind having one in February.
So you don't think that horror movies should be relegated to right around Halloween?
No, I mean there's a bunch like, there's horror movies around Christmas time that are like about Christmas.
Sure, but let's flip it. I'll play devil's advocate. Do you want to see a full feature-length Christmas movie in July?
I watched a bunch of Christmas movies in July, so
I get that.
in my
I get
opinion,
that,
I
but
don't care.
does it make sense?
It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't need to make sense.
Yeah.
It's just a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking. I personally would like to see Christmas movies in December and
I just can't wait
and
that
horror
long.
movies in October, just because to me that makes sense.
Here's
Because
what-
I don't know, it's to me holiday themed movies, which I do consider horror movies being Halloween time movies. I don't know if everybody feels that way. It's kind of like fried chicken. I don't like eating fried chicken every day, right? It's something where I feel like I want to eat it at certain times. Or turkey. When's the best time to eat turkey?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, right? You can eat turkey any time of the year,
Yeah.
but for some reason, at least to me, it tastes best around Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
but that's
you
what
can
I'm
have
saying.
mashed potatoes.
That's off topic. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't exactly need to make sense. Because like you said, you can have, like, let's use the turkey one. You can have turkey whenever. And it might just be best on Thanksgiving because that's when you usually think of turkey. You can watch the horror movies whenever, but they might not be the best or the scariest until you watch them in October. That still means that you can watch them whenever.
Sure.
What about
It's-
Friday the 13th?
And horror movies are a little bit different than Christmas movies because horror is, it invokes some sort of emotion in you. And it never goes away. So I, like, the last couple of nights I've been watching a movie that came out a while ago called The ABCs of Death. And it's 100% horror. But it's September, like you said, it's September 9th today, right? So I'm obviously kind of breaking the rule. I guess I would just like to see high budget movies that are horror released in October.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to consume it just in October. I don't think that's like you said, Christmas movies are fun to watch sometimes in July.
Yeah.
Because it kind of gets you in the mindset, whatever it is that the reason why you watch them then and still watch them, it is what it is, right?
Because it's like a 6-month period.
But I guess what I'm kind of saying is, like, there's not a lot of horror movies that come out. Like you said, there may be 10 movies that come out all year long that are horror. Why not strike while the iron's hot and do them all in October.
Because if you do them all in October, a lot of people won't be able to get around, especially if they're all like in theater and they come out in October. Not everybody's gonna want to go see all 10 horror
Or
movies
12.
in the theater
So-
in October.
So why not do it like the old-fashioned days, like in the 70s and early 80s? You know what they used to do? Well, I mean, 50s and 60s and 70s and
Put
80s.
them on TV.
No, they used to do something called a creature feature, where you would you'd go see like Dracula, and the same night you'd stick around and they'd play a second movie that might be like Creature from the Black Lagoon. You'd get 2 movies.
Yeah, they should
And so
just do that.
that's what I think they should do, is like combine, especially if you have, I mean,
Like,
if you have like a shared universe, like they've talked about. Universal wants to do a shared dark universe with like, you know, Frankenstein and Dracula and the Mummy and all those guys. Like, why not produce 2 movies and put them together in the theaters at the same time?
Yeah.
Do a double feature, you know. I don't know. I'm just asking. Bear, what do you think?
well, hey, I think you talked too long.
Okay.
And second, I do think that they should do the creature feature or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, like, you can go to a movie and see another movie. And then you can, if you feel like staying up a whole bunch, you can watch a movie, then watch a movie.
Not even like stay up a whole bunch. Like if they put one at like 6 and I got it done at like 7:30, and then the next one started at 8, and that one got done at like 9:30, you'd probably be home by 10. That's not that late.
Yeah. And then you can watch more.
Or you could start one at 10 and then be home by 1:30, you know. It depends on what kind of person you are.
Right. Barry, you got anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, we should just end it, because I don't have any.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll
Because you don't keep your anus clean.
Uranus.
Smile! You need to keep your anus clean.
You need to keep the earth clean. It's not Uranus.
Like your... And plus, oh wait, I have one.
What?
So the sun is the biggest thing, the most gravitational pull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has the most.
I think we're harking back to last episode, just so everyone knows.
So why wouldn't the sun give not 6% gravitational pull to throw everything off balance?
Because when you have two things that
That
are kind
are-
of big fighting against each other, one is going to be like Planet 9. It's big enough to take something, but it can't take everything.
Yeah, it
So,
can't
like,
take
when
like half of it.
If you were to fight somebody, if they like beat you up pretty bad, you probably still get one punch in, right?
Yeah.
And they get like 20 on you.
Yeah.
So that's basically like Planet 9 and
Versus
the
the
sun.
sun.
The sun would give like 20 punches, but Planet 9 would still get one punch at the sun, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense.
So now I get it.
Yeah. Great analogy by me.
Yeah.
Let's hope. I don't know if I followed any of that, but yeah. So guys,
And you'll follow it if you watch the video.
yeah. Sometimes we get facts right. Sometimes we exaggerate facts. But either way, I try my best to kind of correct them on the spot when I'm doing the editing. Anyway, you guys ready to close up shop?
Yeah.
Okay. Until next time, guys. Thank you for watching All Things Action Video Cast. Once again, my good friend
Samaya.
and my other good friend
Aiden.
and the old man himself, Dad, aka Aaron, in the house, doing the best we can with what we have. I don't know. All right, guys. Until next week. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.